When we think of Iron Mike, we often picture the young knockout machine who finished off his opponents in seconds. However, the great Iron Mike also suffered harsh defeats that, just like his victories, are gems in the recent history of boxing. In today's video, I invite you to relive 5 of these defeats while learning about the factors that worked against someone who was once the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Get comfortable. You're about to witness authentic massacres. Mike Tyson versus James Buster Douglas. It was 1990, and Mike Tyson had already made a name for himself among the new wave of boxers by becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. But with this great honor came the need to stay ready for challengers, like vultures, who wanted to snatch the title from his hands. One of them was James Buster Douglas. Having debuted as a professional nearly 10 years earlier, on July 23, 1981, Douglas had navigated the sport with ups and downs. Therefore, probably no one thought he would pose a real challenge to the mighty Iron Mike. However, on February 11, 1990, in the ring at the Tokyo Dome, James Buster Douglas would show that he had what it took to shatter Mike Tyson's invincible image. During this fight, Tyson was defending the IBF heavyweight title for the 7th time, the WBA title for the 9th, and the WBC title for the 10th. Ken Morita, Larry Rosadila, and Masakazu Uchida were appointed as judges, and they wouldn't escape criticism for the controversial outcome. Entering the fight against Douglas, Tyson was already scheduled to face Evander Holyfield, who was the #1 contender for the WBA, WBC, and IBF. This bout was supposed to take place on June 18th in Atlantic City, with Tyson set to earn a purse of $22 million. On January 18, 1990, Douglas's mother suffered a stroke. Just 23 days before the fight, Douglas lost the great love of his life. In betting houses, he was never the favorite. Everyone wondered what he was doing facing Mike Tyson at a time when it was almost impossible to think of Mike being defeated. However, after his mother's death, his trainer and uncle, J.D. McCauley, assured that Douglas would use all his pain and turn it into something positive. But it wasn't just a presumption. Those around him felt a new determination when he returned to training after the funeral. Close sources claimed he was dedicated like never before. On the other hand, the New York Times reported days before the fight that the greatest enemy of Iron Mike was himself. According to the article, Tyson had fallen into a self-destructive cycle by not training properly, failing to prepare for his match, and even distancing himself from experienced boxers. Despite expressing confidence in Mike, suggesting that the safest bet was a crushing victory for Tyson over Douglas in just a few rounds, they doubted his sanity by also indicating that, according to reports coming from Tokyo, the champion was sabotaging his own reign. Under this scenario, with Octavio Mayran as the 3rd man in the ring, the fight began. Fight summary. From the start, Douglas controlled the pace of the fight. From the outside, he worked towards victory with a strong jab, successfully halting Tyson's advances every time he went on the attack.
Keep in mind that Carl Williams looked pretty loose and relaxed against Tyson until Williams on the undercard of Tyson Spinks and floored him twice in the early rounds with the left jab.
See, Mike has to be careful also because Mike's standing
in the early rounds, the incompetence of Tyson's new trainers, Aaron Snowell and Jay Bright, became evident.
because he takes a move, he steps to his right, give a little angle.
Douglas giving.
So as opposed to the one big punch. But that's put you in a lot of trouble.
Douglas accurate with the jab.
Yes. Good enough hook by
Douglas
Douglas.
again with the left.
By the 5th round, Mike's left eye had already begun to swell. Curiously, Tyson's corner did not have an ice pack, a standard piece of equipment to soothe a fighter's injuries. Therefore, they had to improvise by using a gloved hand with ice to try to reduce the swelling between rounds. With just 6 seconds left in the 8th round, Tyson seemed to tip the scales in his favor after knocking down Douglas with a fierce right uppercut.
Here he's against the ropes. I've never seen.
And there's a right hand uppercut.
However, Douglas was up at the count of 9, and the end of the round allowed him to recover in his corner. In the 9th round, Douglas regained control of the bout.
Right to the body, he tries the uppercut again and misses. Douglas comes back with a left and a right.
Until that knockdown. The left eye.
Tyson needs the ropes for support. Douglas wins. Without the ropes, Mike would have gone down.
In the 10th round with a left hook, he shook Mike's newly found confidence. With a right uppercut followed by a deadly combination that ended in a powerful left hook, Douglas sent Tyson to the canvas for the first time in his entire career. Tyson was so disoriented that he put his mouthguard in upside down and tried to get up, but his trembling legs only revealed great weakness.
Rolling willingly just to try to get in the shot that will finish things in.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas. He's down.
After this unprecedented scene, Mayran stopped the fight while embracing a wobbly Iron Mike, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. Certainly, Tyson did not start the 1990s on a good note. Despite being able to recover in his subsequent fights, over the years, another significant setback occurred in Iron Mike's career. This time, the author would be none other than Evander Holyfield. On November 9, 1996, Mike stepped into the ring at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, to face his destiny. He had just regained his WBA heavyweight title and had to prove he could hold on to it. Tyson and Holyfield were originally scheduled to fight on June 18, 1990. Remember I mentioned that? Those plans were thrown out the window when, seemingly out of nowhere, the betting underdog, James "Buster" Douglas, ended Mike's immortal streak. A second encounter was attempted between these fighters on November 8, 1991, at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, with Tyson as the challenger in Holyfield's second title defense. However, on September 9th, Tyson was accused of raping a beauty pageant contestant in Indianapolis, which marked the beginning of the long-term cancellation of this bout. A rib injury postponed the original date, and with a trial set to begin in January 1992, it became impossible to schedule a new date for the match. On February 10th, Tyson was found guilty of rape and sentenced to prison. After his release on March 25, 1995, Mike regained the WBC heavyweight title with a technical knockout in the third round against Frank Bruno on March 16, 1996.
Big right hand lands. Tyson knows he's got him in big trouble. If he doesn't answer it, Richard Steele.
He recovered the WBA title on September 7th of the same year, defeating Bruce Seldon by technical knockout in the first round.
Stand straight up there. Now that's not. Oh, down goes Bruce Seldon. That was a punch, nice long rest there, but he has felt. Back comes Seldon.
Why didn't he defend both? Mike had to vacate the WBC title to fight Holyfield instead of Lennox Lewis, who was the mandatory challenger. With $30 million as the purse for the fight, Mike probably found a good reason to give fans what they had been waiting for years. "Finally," was the tagline used to promote the match. And, with Mitch Halpern as the third man in the ring, the fight took place. Fight summary. After the sound of the opening bell, Tyson and Holyfield met in the center of the ring. The level of boxing both fighters entered immediately had not been seen in any fight in the previous years. Round after round, both fighters unleashed wild punches. With such a great clash of forces, it was not surprising when the first clinches appeared.
Un poquito a la hora de entrar, Holyfield en el centro del ring, el gancho de izquierda de Mike Tyson, interviniendo bien en el combate, falló la izquierda, pero es impresionante la que se está montando a la derecha de Mike Tyson, se metió.
By the second round, Holyfield, who is not remembered for being a big puncher, landed a left hook that seemed to stagger Mike.
Contra las cuerdas, a Mike Tyson, esto es nuevo, es noticia, Tyson contra las cuerdas, mete el gancho derecha, Evander Holyfield, está boceando.
From this point on, the contest lasted another 8 rounds. Rounds in which Tyson lost his sanity a little more with each heavy impact his body received. However, Tyson always remained a latent threat. In the 5th round, he unleashed a body shot on Holyfield and an uppercut to his chin that proved the beast inside him was still there. But as the seconds passed, Mike seemed more confused about why Holyfield was still standing. During the 6th round, a headbutt opened a small cut above Tyson's left eye. By the 7th, Mike kept looking at Halpern, complaining about the headbutts. In a new attempt to attack, he charged at Holyfield and crashed his cut against his shaved head.
Estaba atendiendo Mike Tyson, tocó con la izquierda Evander Holyfield, entra.
Tyson was already gasping in pain. He was in serious trouble. By the 10th round, each of the more than 16,100 people in attendance was shouting for Holyfield's victory. It was when Holyfield executed a powerful combination, followed shortly by a straight right to the head and with 8 unanswered punches. Tyson probably remembered Buster Douglas as he was thrown against the ropes.
Muy bien esas manos, esa combinación durísima, la derecha, Tyson Mundo, Evander Holyfield va a tratar de pagar la última, se puede repetir la noche de Toki.
It had been a long time since anyone had seen the Great Iron Mike, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, saved by the bell. The fight was practically over. However, 37 seconds into the 11th round, a powerful right hand to Tyson's head sent him crashing against the ropes again, making it official.
No cometer errores porque ante Mike Tyson eso es mortal. Mete la izquierda, llega la mano de Evander Holyfield, se va a ir a la lona. Mike Tyson tiene nuevamente la luz.
After this violent blow, Halpern embraced Tyson to protect him and called for the end of the contest. "I don't remember that round," Mike would say after the fight. According to his statements, his mind got stuck in something strange. Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield II. As if looking into a mirror, just as Evander Holyfield had secured the WBC heavyweight title, he had to prove he was worthy of holding it by defending it against none other than Mike Tyson. The slogan for this contest was "The Sound and the Fury," but in reality, both fighters were so relevant to the moment that what you could read on every poster was, at a glance, Holyfield versus Tyson II. Originally, the match was scheduled for May 3rd, 1997, but was postponed to June 28th due to a cut Tyson suffered above his left eye during training. The injury was caused by a head collision with one of his sparring partners, leading to the announcement of the postponement on April 8th. Do you remember Mitch Halpern? He was chosen again to be the referee for the rematch. However, Tyson's co-managers, John Horn and Rory Holloway, appeared before an emergency meeting of the Nevada State Athletic Commission on June 26th and requested that Halpern be replaced. Their argument was that Mike would be psychologically damaged by having Halpern in the ring again, as he was convinced it wouldn't be fair to him during the fight. The commission rejected this protest, but Halpern himself decided to resign later that night. This led to Mills Lane being the third man in the ring at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas that night. Fight summary. A powerful right hand shook Tyson just in the first round. Out of orbit, the clouds were beginning to turn gray over Iron Mike.
Jab, looking to set up the right there.
In the second round, Tyson threw his own right hand just as Holyfield was starting to unleash a powerful left hook. As Mike leaned in to take the punch, Holyfield ducked, and their heads collided, opening a cut above Tyson's right eye.
Tyson, something we didn't see in the first fight.
Lane called for some time and informed the ringside officials that the cut was caused by a headbutt. Tyson seemed to recover during the third round after losing the first two on the judges' scorecards. Mike managed to land a couple of good right hands on Holyfield, but it was only the moment of glory before the final descent. In the last minute of the round, while both were clinched, Tyson bit off a piece of Holyfield's right ear.
First fight.
Holyfield stepped back and jumped in the air, screaming in pain. Tyson, out of control, walked behind him and pushed him against the ropes. Lane, alert, stopped the action and deducted 2 points from Mike, who claimed that the damage to Holyfield's ear was caused by one of his punches. However, Lane had seen everything clearly. Once the fight resumed, Tyson bit Holyfield's left ear. At the end of the episode, when Lane was able to assess the bite mark on Holyfield's left ear, he disqualified Tyson. Even after the fight, Tyson continued to defend his stance. From his perspective, Holyfield's headbutts had been intentional, so the bites were merely retaliation.
See, look at him. You can see it. You can see it. Look. And look at this.
Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. Entering the new millennium on June 8, 2002, Tyson experienced the bitterness of defeat again, this time against Lennox Lewis in the ring at the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. Lewis was to defend for the first time the heavyweight titles of the WBC and the IBF, as well as the heavyweight title of the iconic magazine, The Ring. Incredibly, the defense of these belts began even before both fighters entered the venue. On January 22, 2002, there was a press conference in New York City to officially announce the fight. Tyson was the first to be introduced. He walked onto the stage and fixed his gaze where Lewis was supposed to appear. Once Lewis was on stage, Mike quickly walked towards him. True chaos was about to be unleashed. A bodyguard for Lewis stepped in between the fighters, pushing Tyson back. Tyson almost immediately took an aggressive fighting stance and threw a looping left at the bodyguard. Fortunately, he missed. Lewis, showing no fear, raised his fists and threw a punch as a dozen boxing officials and members from both camps rushed onto the stage. Amidst all the shoving, both fighters fell to the ground. There, Tyson, who had suffered a cut on his forehead, remembered his cannibal side with Evander Holyfield and bit Lewis's leg. In the midst of the fray, WBC President Jose Sulaiman was knocked unconscious after hitting his head on a table. Later, he would file a $56 million lawsuit against both fighters. Finally, with Eddie Cotton as the third man in the ring, the real contest began. Fight summary. From the first round, the bout turned into a total domination of Tyson by Lewis. Throughout the rounds, Tyson suffered significant cuts over both eyes, adorned with deep cuts on Mike's nose, causing him to bleed alarmingly.
Tyson back, leaning on Tyson. Just 19 rounds of boxing for Mike.
Just as the 8th round was nearing its end, Tyson, who had already been forced to stagger from a series of uppercuts, fell heavily to the canvas after a right hand exploded on his chin. Only 35 seconds were left in the round, and Tyson's attempts to get up were extremely few. Thus, Cotton was able to complete the safety count, leaving Mike out of action. When Cotton reached 10, Tyson's right hand covered his face, eventually bringing it to his side after the official announcement of the knockout, revealing his face stained with his own blood.
Hoping that this fight would redeem that hard. You can't take that hard. Big right hand from Lewis, and Tyson goes down for the third time. It's over.
Mike Tyson versus Kevin McBride. Approaching the true end of Iron Mike's professional career, we have one of the most shocking defeats of his trajectory. It occurred on June 11, 2005, when he stepped into the ring at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. to face Kevin McBride. Tyson was guaranteed a purse of $5.5 million, while McBride was only paid $150,000. However, according to documents filed in a U.S. bankruptcy court, Mike was expected to receive only $250,000, with most of the purse, after deducting the corresponding taxes, destined for Monica Turner, his ex-wife, and his creditors. Jeff Fenech trained Mike for the fight, who was seen as the clear favorite, as it was not believed that a fighter like McBride could match the legend who refused to retire from the ring due to financial issues. But Mike's erratic behavior would once again be his downfall. With Joe Cortez as the third man in the ring, the fight began. Fight summary. From the first round, it was evident that the beast within Mike was hibernating, probably never to awaken.
Final 10 seconds of the first round.
At the beginning of the 6th round, Tyson, erratic, perhaps like never before, tried to break McBride's left arm while they were clinched. Mike probably channeled the energy of when he attempted the same in 1999 against Francois Botha. With an intentional headbutt, Tyson opened a cut over McBride's left eye. The ringside doctor examined McBride while the referee deducted 2 points from Mike for the foul. Later, McBride would state that Tyson, the cannibal, had bitten his nipples. Just as the bell rang to signal the end of the 6th round, Tyson fell backward against the ropes, but the referee ruled that he had slipped. Mike, looking exhausted like never before, didn't seem inclined to get up, but he had no choice but to return to his corner and sit on the stool from where he would announce his surrender. Ironically, by the time Tyson left the contest, he was being scored as the winner on the judges' cards. After this fight, Mike, who had lost 3 of his last 4 bouts, announced his retirement. If you've made it this far, thank you. Remember, there's no better way to support my content than by liking the video. Did you know the full story behind these defeats of Iron Mike? Which one did you find the most intense? I look forward to your comments.